sorry. Welcome to Perspectivas Latinas, a community service of CAN TV. I'm your host, Karina. Joining me today is Luis Gutierrez and Jennifer Rubio from Latinos Progresando. Welcome, and welcome to both of you. Great to have you here.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you very much.
I can't imagine that there's anybody that hasn't heard of Latinos Progresando.
Well, I hope not, but you don't know, It's a good thing to be on the show so we can talk a little bit about our work, and I always love being on the show with you because you're an amazing person, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Luis. It's great for me to have a mutual admiration society here. For that one person out there who's just hearing about Latinos Progresando, you do so much work in the community. Can you give us sort of like the broad categories?
Sure. We run a number of programs. The program, our oldest program, is our legal services program, and Jennifer is here to talk a little bit about that. So I'm going to talk about the other ones, and then maybe Jennifer, you can jump in.
Sure.
But we have an arts and culture program, and in that program we have a theater component. And so Teatro Americano is our theater. In Teatro Americano, we teach in local grammar schools. So we're talking to young students starting about 4th grade and going up about how to write their own plays, how to create their own plays based on the experiences of their parents coming to this country. And so what this does is it allows the young students to be able to learn how to write better, learn how to act, learn how to public speak, but it also allows them to learn more about their family and their history and their culture. On the other end, we take surveys in a community, and our ensemble writes professional plays and performs and produces them all over Chicagoland area. And we're going to be in Aurora, hoping to get out to Indiana, and so we're touring the Midwest with our theater group. We're also giving out a scholarship to students to try to help young people get into college, and so we have a scholarship that we give out. You don't need a social security number to apply, so we encourage anyone who wants to go to college, regardless of having a social security number, to apply. And then we do some advocacy work on the side too, so we're doing some stuff on the DREAM Act and any other little thing that comes around that's about social justice.
Social justice, those are the words. If somebody says, think of an organization that's about social justice, I'm thinking about Latinos Progresando. And we could probably talk more about the theater, and I've had the opportunity to see the productions, and fantastic. And the depth, the depth of the work that they do, and the fact that they start out with kids that are so young that I could go on and on. But today we're going to talk about legal issues, right?
We're talking about a little bit of both, yeah.
Okay. All right. So Jennifer, tell us a little bit about the legal services that Latinos Progresando provides.
Well, as you know, we are a nonprofit organization, so we provide very high quality and low cost immigration services. And those include family petitions, naturalization, citizenship, and we also renew green cards, or resident cards, and we even do translations of documents. Family-based petitions are for those who qualify to petition for family members such as parents, siblings, spouses, and children, along with naturalization for those who want to naturalize. We also do petitions for that, and we have a variety of services that we provide for a low cost.
Great. And these are professionals that are providing the services. People are getting really high quality services, and probably it's worth mentioning that they can trust.
Right.
Oh my God, I think that's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah. We provide consultations, and they are confidential. And along with that, as you know, we are accredited by the Board of Immigration Appeals, and a number of our caseworkers are also accredited representatives. So,
I say that, and I saw you react right away, Luis, because we're doing the show right now today in English, and there may be a lot of people that don't realize how many people who are really trying and really desperate to get their documents in order, and how they can be exploited by organization. Well, go ahead.
I'll let you talk. It hurts me, but the need to legalize your status in this country it's huge. So for a family who wants to go to college, or a family who wants to get a job, or a family who wants to buy a house, a lot of times, this social security number, being a legal permanent resident, it is the biggest obstacle that they have. And so many times what happens is that people will jump around trying to find that one person that has that secret remedy to fix everything. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there that take advantage of that. So you may go to like a notario, and a notario will tell you, oh, you know what, I know so-and-so at immigration for X amount of dollars. We can make sure this gets fixed. The people that you went to before, they don't know what they're talking about. And so people will go and seek that service, and then the next thing you know, they're in deportation proceedings.
Yeah.
And it's
notario, for the people that are watching that might not speak Spanish, notario, we're really talking about the notary public, which usually have currency exchanges and at different places. In other countries, a notario is a lawyer.
correct.
Right.
And so when I tell you, oh, I'm a notario, you think that, oh my goodness, this person is really qualified.
Right.
And this, you can send away an application in $25 and be,
And be a notary public, and
But-
all
yeah.
that does is say that I can verify that you signed a piece of paper. So you show me your ID, you signed the document in front of me, and I stamp it that I witnessed it, and that's what a notary public is in the United States. But coming to a different country, different language, people don't really know what a notary public is here, and the difference between a notary public here and a notario, for example, in Mexico. Those differences are huge, but need and trust, I mean, those things are huge and they're very important.
And go ahead.
Well, I'm fairly new at Latinos Progresando, and just for the first year that I was there, I was an intern. So I sat with Marcy, and just from consultations, you can really tell that, everyone there is there to gain the client's trust and build rapport, and you kind of give them options on, they tell you their case, their situation, and then what's great about it is that we just don't tell you, oh, there's nothing you can do. We give you your options. There's this that you can do. If not, we can refer you to someone else. But we kind of maneuver around each situation because obviously each case is different. So what's great about LP is that we do break down and, go to
Great lengths.
great lengths to find a way where, they have an option, and if they are willing to, take that step further, then we're also there for support. So,
But sometimes the fact is, you don't have any options.
right.
And there are people who say, you know what, I looked at your case, I looked at it upside down, right side up, left to
Right.
right to left. And the fact of the matter is, you're not going to be able to gain legal status here. And I think that's valuable information for a person because, like what Luis was saying, that person can go, and when somebody else sees that desperation in their eyes, they say, but my ex-sister-in-law
Right.
knows somebody
Right.
who knows somebody, and for the, if you can put together $5,000,
Right.
and then because I see them too, and then they get, well, come back in a month.
Right.
Well, come back in 2 months.
Right.
And bring more money. And this
Exactly.
we know people that have been doing this, 7-10 years. And they're, it's just terrible. So I think to be able to go to Latinos Progresando and hear, you know what?
Yeah.
Stop.
And I think that, in that situation, educating our clients is huge at our organization because understanding where your case is in relation to immigration law is big because then what we say to you is, make sure that you're not getting arrested, make sure that you keep these documents, make sure that you're not leaving the country, make sure that, everything is in order so that you are in a position to be able to do this, be able to legalize your status later. When the law changes, I rolled my eyes a little bit there, but when the law
we're not
changes,
going to say if, we're going to say
let's
when.
say when the law changes. And so, and we also have a referral list to other nonprofits and attorneys, and we will tell our clients, if you want a second opinion that's valid, you should get one. Here's a list of people that we know and we trust. And that way they can go speak to someone else, and then they're going to get the same answer, but we know that they're not going to notarios who see the desperation in their eyes and then want to make a buck off of that.
A buck would be okay.
A buck would be okay.
Hey, I'll pay you $1 for the information. It's when it turns into thousands and thousands, and it's just exploitation.
I remember this notario Antonio Perez years ago, and he was acting as an immigration attorney. He was a notary public, and he was presenting himself as a notario, and then he was also giving some type of medical advice. He put about $5,000 people in deportation, and he was charging upwards of $5,000 a case. He ended up, the city ended up finding out, they shut him down, and he actually ended up being put in deportation proceedings. But the damage to the families that he did was, you know,
you can't
horrible.
talk about justice because it's too many families.
It's too many families.
And that's one of the risks that people run. If they don't know in advance that they don't have a case, and somebody initiates a case for them, it's as if, I mean, virtually what they're doing is reporting themselves.
Yeah.
Hey, here I am, you know,
Exactly.
and my God, just the psychological damage as well as everything else. So tell me more about the kinds of cases that you work with.
I have worked on VAWA cases, which is the Violence Against Women Act, and those cases are more like self-petitioning cases for women who have been victims of domestic violence by either a USC husband or U.S. citizen husband or an LPR, legal permanent resident spouse. It can be male or female. It applies to both. And with that, it's a long process, but it's important to have, you know, that option, you know, for women who don't have any other way to go. They don't have any other option. They don't have like a qualifying relative. So VAWA is a service that takes a lot of time, and we collect a lot of documents. Like Luis was saying, you need to have the documentations. You need to make sure that, you know, you weren't arrested. And if so, if they were misdemeanors, they were minor cases. And along with that, just proof that, you know, their story, you know, tell their story.
That the abuse existed.
That the abuse
happened.
existed, correct.
You know, it's really funny that, you know, I get the chance to talk with you both today, because last night I was in my community swimming pool and I was talking with some Russian ladies. And I was, you know, oh, so what have you done since the winter, you know?
Right, right.
And we were talking, and, you know, I think that clearly here we are talking, where the show is Latinos, Perspectivas Latinas. You guys are Latinos Progresando. But the whole thing about VAWA is really very international.
Yes.
You know, I think when I was talking to these Russian women last night, you know, there's a lot of like these mail order brides where, you know, men, or I guess women could do as well, but men will, you know, send away for to meet somebody, and they'll
Right.
bring her over, and there's always like dangling this cherry in front of you.
Right.
You know, if you do this, I will get your documentation, and
Right.
if you do that, and sometimes, you know, what the if, you know, can be illegal, immoral, it can be abusive, it can be humiliating, it
Right.
can be, you know, and people are virtually slaves.
And that's why VAWA is so important, because when we talk about family-based petitions, the U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident has to initiate the petition. So I, as a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident, I would have to sign the immigration form stating that I want to petition my wife in this case. And so in this type of situation, you know, they use that in abusive relationships to say, you know, I'm not going to sign your immigration documents. I'm not going to show that I, you know, I'm not going to fill out the forms and make sure that I provide income.
You better get out there and get a job, and you better be bringing home $5,000 a month, or I'm not signing anything.
And you don't have any rights. I'm a U.S. citizen. All that
I'm
stuff.
going to take the kids. I'm going to ship you back. I mean,
Right.
the stuff
Right.
that we hear is really.
It's horrible. And through this program, then the person, if they can prove that there's abuse in this relationship, then the person can self-petition. And the abuser doesn't even need to know.
No.
They don't even know.
No,
Wow.
they don't need to know.
They
You
don't
just
need to
keep
know.
right on threatening, Joe. Joe, I got a date in court.
Yeah, pretty much. And you know, we handle all that and at the office, and you know, it's a great piece, because then you can get a work permit, you can get legal permanent residency, and you can just be able to be in a better position to get out of an abusive relationship, if that's what you choose. And then of course, we do a lot of referrals to places like Rainbow House and Mujeres and other places where they can kind of take on more of the counseling piece, but we'll deal with the legal side of it.
Excellent. What else? What other kinds of cases do you guys use?
We just actually recently started doing U visas, which is something that we're gonna add to our intakes. If, you know, you never know when a client has ever been a victim of a crime, or they've been a witness of a crime. And so that is something that we are going to start incorporating into our consultations, because you never know that they might be there for one reason, or if they don't qualify for a VAWA, they may qualify for a U visa. So that is something that we are actually starting to work on some more, and just getting information from clients, making sure that everything's confidential. In case they are with, still with their significant other, we make sure that everything comes to us and we just communicate directly with the client. So that's something that we're starting to work on a little bit more. We have a couple interns at LP right now that are being the greatest. They're very helpful. So they are kind of getting us started, and we're doing some training, receiving some webinars. So
Excellent.
And in addition to that, our program now, we've done such a good job with our program that we're working with other nonprofits to help them establish programs. And so we're meeting with folks, particularly folks in the suburbs who are running nonprofits who want to set up legal services programs. And so the need in Chicagoland is huge. So we're hoping to work with as many nonprofits as we can to help them set up their own legal services programs and get accredited and go through that process. So we're pretty excited about that as well.
That's one of the things that we love about Latinos Progresando is, share the goods,
Yeah, I mean, you have to, right? I think that that's in large part why we get into doing this type of work. You want to do good things for people and do good things with organizations that are doing good things for people. So share the wealth, everybody's happy, we all get, we all get to share and we all get to celebrate together,
A little while ago, you mentioned about the DREAM Act and about a
Yes.
scholarship that
Correct.
you guys are doing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, as you know, last year the DREAM Act was so close to passing. Oh my goodness, and it didn't. But we're hoping that the DREAM Act comes up again, and we're hoping, that these hard-working young people who really want to go to college have the opportunity to do that, and the DREAM Act would allow them to be able to get conditional resident status while they go to school, and then apply to remove those conditions, get a social security number, and use that social security number to get student loans so they can pay for their education. Obviously, they'll be able to work, and then, just as important, once they get through with school, they'll be able to go to work. And so while we're waiting for that, a number of folks out there have talked about, well, what do we do for students now? And so one of the things that we want to do is raise money. That's the biggest thing. We're raising money so that young people can get an education. And so we're going to be offering $6,000 in scholarship money to students this year so that they can pay for their education. And the scholarship specifically is going to seniors who are going into college or students that finish their first year. And it's open to everyone, whether you have a social security number or not, and I think that's a really important piece. We're also trying to work with other organizations that are giving out scholarships and telling them, remove that requirement, that social security requirement, so that you give other students the opportunity to be able to apply for that money as well. Some of our brightest students are undocumented.
It's such a, and I think probably from being in the legal clinic, that such individual cases, but the ones that, for me, that tend to, break my heart the most are the ones with, people who were brought here when they were babies.
Yes.
And they grew up here. They might not even speak the language of their country of origin. They for sure have never visited the country they were born in because their parents don't have the facility to move back and forth across the border. So they, other than on my birthday, I was never there, virtually. And then to be denied opportunities in the only country that they know to be home.
Correct.
Is just heartbreaking. And I think, honestly, I don't know if you'll agree with me here, but I think that the biggest loser in that whole scenario is the United States.
I completely agree with you. And a lot of these students that we're getting at our office are valedictorians in their high schools. Top 5, top 2, top 3, getting accepted to Harvard, getting accepted to these top colleges, but then they can't pay for it. Want to go to University of Chicago, can't pay for it. So who's losing? We've invested so much time and money in grammar school and high school to get these young people prepared, and the future of America is at stake here. And now we're saying to them, you know what? You're intelligent enough to go to University of Chicago, but guess what? We're not going to let you. It's not even like, we're just not going to make it feasible for you to get into the University of Chicago. And these are our next doctors and lawyers and businessmen and women.
Yeah.
And so we as a country are shortchanging ourselves. And
that's what it seems like. And it was kind of funny on the way here, I was listening to NPR, and there's an issue going on in California right now where I guess they're coming up for a vote, and they were interviewing different people, students, about how they felt about the DREAM Act. And this one guy was, I thought, funny. He didn't mean to be funny, but he said, well, I think they should have to sign a paper that if they're going to, get their education in the United States, that they're going to stay here and work for at least 3 years afterwards. And I'm thinking, where else are they going to go? And so I'm thinking, but it was like, I think there should be a requirement.
Well, yeah, and I think that's one of the hardest things about this whole immigration debate to understand. It's not an easy thing, and you have people who are on the news trying to make an argument for immigration reform, pro or con, in 30 seconds, right? And when this problem is so huge, the immigration system is broken and it needs to be fixed, and you'll hear people say things like, what, why don't they just get in line? And folks that actually work at immigration services in the legal department, we're saying, what line?
Right.
Where is the line?
Where's the line? Yeah, I'll go.
If there were a line, we would get in line, but the system is just so broken that there really isn't a line. And if you're, how long is it taking right now for a brother-to-brother petition?
About 15 to 17 years.
15 to 17 years if you're from Mexico.
Priority date, yeah. It's
And what do you say to
90s.
folks? I mean, what do you say to folks? 15 years you're going to be in this country if you have a qualifying brother or sister who's a U.S. citizen, and if you don't, you're just going to get, I guess, hang out and I guess do what you have to do, and it's a very difficult thing. We have so many people that have so much to offer and are willing to offer it. Young people that want to go into the military, so much to offer, and yet we are denying people that opportunity to give back to this country. It's really difficult right now, but we're hoping that the Obama administration really starts to push immigration reform, because I think that is one of his last promises that he has to keep.
I would agree. Now, talking about spreading the wealth and doing things for everybody else, I know that you have some needs as well. And that
Yes.
you have some fundraiser coming up. Let's be sure to talk about that.
Awesome. Well, we have a fundraiser coming up, and thank you very much for allowing us to talk about it on your show.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow's Heroes Today, and we're going to be getting together and just raising funds. And basically, we are a nonprofit organization, and as all nonprofits, even though we are a nonprofit, we have to raise money in order to pay the bills, and this is a way for us to do that. And so we're having an event on June 23rd at Tapas Restaurant in University Village to raise money to support the programs that Jennifer's talked about in legal services and VAWA, to support the youth theater program, and to support the young people that are trying to get into college. So hopefully people can come out and join us, and it's going to be a good time. We throw the best parties at Latinos Progresando.
You do throw really great parties. And part of it, I think, is the energy and the commitment and the passion and the youth
Really is.
of the organization, even though the organization itself has been around for so many years. But I think you tend to ignite really passionate, young, energetic people.
Yeah.
And so I think you do have great party. That's a good mix for a party.
It's a great party. It's a great time, and most importantly, the donations that people give are going to a great cause. And so, you can support our legal services program, you can support our VAWA program, you can support youth in theater, you can support the scholarship, you can support the organization as a whole, or you can pick what program you want to support. And so, the organization is doing amazing things, and we're having this party both as a celebration of the work that we do, but also really trying to raise some more money so that we can do more things.
And the way federal monies are drying up and state monies are drying up, it's really that individual giving that's become the difference between, there's a tomorrow and there isn't.
Right.
Now, you're talking about being able, when I go to the party, do I just bring money? Or are we
Sure.
just bring money. Hi, just bring your money. But are we buying things? Is there I don't know,
Right.
is there an auction? Is there a game?
There's going to be a raffle that we're going to have there. We're asking for a $100 donation for the ticket. The ticket price will include food. It will include some drinks we'll have an open bar for an hour, and then we'll have a raffle. And so we have different ways to get people involved in donating. And if you can't make it and just want to donate, you can also go to our website, www.latinospro.org, and you can also donate through the website and say, you know, I can't make it that day, but I'd like to make a donation. And anything helps, $5, $10, $20, whatever anybody can give is very much appreciated.
You know, it's amazing. I think that one of the things we're finding out right now, and you just said it, is that there just aren't that many people right now who can do the $1,000 donation.
Right.
You know, there was a while ago where people were looking for. Remember this? I mean, let's try to remember. People were actually looking for tax deductions.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It hasn't been any time lately, but you know, people would want a gift because it would help them with their taxes. Now, you know, it's not so much that we have a lot of people who can do that, but that it's the adding up, the 5 here, the 10 there,
Right.
the 15. So are you also looking for people who have maybe time and can give of themselves?
Yeah,
Or
I
you
think
don't have
that's
such a-
awesome. I mean, Jennifer, you talked about how she volunteered, and maybe you can talk about how you volunteered and what that's led to.
Well, after I graduated from college, I received my bachelor's in sociology, but I always wanted to do and work with immigration, and I'm actually hoping to go to law school the following fall. And I just wanted an opportunity where I can learn more about the law and work with the undocumented community. That was basically my goal. And just I Googled, you know, I didn't Google Latinos Progresando, but I Googled something along the lines, and LP came up. And I emailed Marcy, she's the director of the legal program, and she responded to come on in and talk about it. And I interned there for an entire year, and then finally got an offer to become a caseworker. And it basically fulfilled what I've been longing to do. Like, if I don't ever become an immigration lawyer, I at least know that I'm doing what I love to do. So.
Well, we want you to go and be a
We
lawyer.
do.
We want you to do this, right?
We do want her. She will be.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a
Yeah.
good thing. It's a great thing, and it's a wonderful experience. And I hope that it frustrates you just a little, so that
It
you have that
does.
push to go on and become that lawyer
Yeah.
and say, no, I want to go argue this case. I want.
Right.
So that'll be great. Very.
And
very
so, yeah, those type of volunteer opportunities, obviously Jennifer brought a lot. She didn't have the $1,000 to give, but she gave her time and she made our program stronger. And then as a result of that, now we're lucky enough to have gotten an opportunity to employ her. And so we're better off both on the volunteer end, now also on the staff end, because she took the time to come out and give a little bit of her time. And so, you know, these things, whenever you give, I think it's a good thing. All good things happen whenever you give.
Absolutely. Let's get those details on that fundraiser one more time.
June 23rd, Tapas Restaurant in University Village on Halsted and Maxwell Street.
Okay.
6 p.m., $100 donation. We'll have food, we'll have drinks, we'll have a good time, great music, great people. So hopefully people can come out and support. You can buy tickets on our website or make a donation, www.latinospro.org.
Fantastic. Luis, always great to see you. Thanks for
Thank
being
you so
here.
much.
Nice to meet you, Jenna.
Likewise.
Go back to college.
I'm trying.
I'd like to thank my guest, Luis, for joining us. Perspectivas Latinas is a community service in TV. If your not-for-profit organization would like to use Can services, please call us at 312-738-100 and ask for nonprofit services. Perspectivas Latinas for local issues and concerns every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. here on Can TV 20. I'm Karina. Thank you for joining us.